Hello, everyone. Welcome to the internal training for Graphus. We're going to be doing a very quick demo, really just to kind of kick things off. Graphus is our email security solution for both M365 as well as Google Workspace, and it was really purpose-built for MSPs. So it's designed to protect against phishing, identity spoofing, business email compromise, and also malicious email content. What you're going to see, what really separates it from other solutions, is that it's using a patented AI technology to detect targeted and zero-day attacks. With that being said, though, it works really well with other solutions like Microsoft ATP, and it's totally API-based, so it doesn't require you to change MX records or routing or anything like that. In terms of Graphis, though, there's really three layers of protection. So we have Trust Graph, which builds out a knowledge graph for each specific organization it's deployed with. So it'll create profiles for each individual. Where do they usually email from? What time of day do they usually email? So we have a ton of different parameters, and then we have a baseline of what's normal, and we can detect when something deviates from that, potentially due to account compromise or spear phishing, and then we can auto quarantine that malicious content. If an email is deemed malicious, it's sent to the junk or deleted folder. We also put a banner on each quarantined email explaining why it was quarantined and what makes it malicious. The second layer of protection is called Employee Shield, and it's essentially a customizable in-email banner for suspicious content coming from outside the domain. Those users can quarantine or mark it as safe with the click of a button. So this does work on all devices, and directly from within the banner, the user can mark it as safe or as phishing, and it is a dynamic banner, so that messaging is going to change depending on what's suspicious or malicious about that email. And then really the last piece here is Fish 911. So if a user suspects that something is phishing, but it made it through to their inbox, they can either send it to a dedicated inbox, or we can integrate M365. So you'd see a button in Outlook which would pull that email directly from the inbox of all of the users that it was sent to. The MSP, right, they'd be notified either through email or through a PSA ticket, and they can come into the portal, they can see the reported emails, all of the metadata, right, things like who actually opened it, and then from there they can take action, they can keep it quarantined, or if they wanted to, they can decide to unquarantine it, and that way it would land back in the inbox of all of those recipients. In terms of the platform, though, like I mentioned, it's protecting against executive spoofing, business email compromise, regular phishing, as well as malicious attachments. In terms of the platform, it is totally SaaS-based, right? So you'd have your own set of credentials. You're going to log in. It is multi-tenant. So the very first thing that you're going to see is a multi-tenant view of every single one of those sites that are set up with Graphus. It can also be co-managed, so additional users can have access to each of these sites. In terms of that initial onboarding, though, it is very simple for both M365 as well as Google Workspace. You're essentially just using those global or super admin credentials in order to verify. From here, though, we can hop right into Graphus. So this is going to be a client's dashboard. Up at the top here, you can also select a date range. So you're essentially going to have an overview of everything that's happening across the board. Under the quarantine tab, this is where you'd see any of those emails that were pulled directly from the inboxes. So from here, we'd have total visibility into each of those emails. We can see the reason that it was quarantined, whether it's an empty subject and body, or if it's something like business email compromise, executive spoofing, or something else, you would see it populate here. In terms of each of these emails, though, you do have full visibility, so we can click in and we can view the metadata. We can also view the email header analysis. And once this loads, we can also view the original view of the email with that banner. And the idea here is to understand exactly why everything was quarantined. Just to kind of highlight a few more things, we do have sandboxing for URLs. So you would see an additional tab at the top here that would say sandbox. And for that, Graphus does analyze every single link and every single attachment that comes through. And we do use VirusTotal on the back end as well. So in those cases, right, the banner at the top, it would say that it's an email with a link and that the URL leads to a page asking for login credentials. We're able to identify all of that. From here on the left-hand side, you're going to see the spam filter with a few subcategories. So we have blocked emails, personal filter, as well as organization filter. Blocked emails, this is really just going to be a combination of the personal and organization filter. The organization filter, this is essentially a blacklist. And then the personal filter, this allows users to mark certain emails as spam just for themselves, as opposed to the entire organization, right? It's used for stuff that isn't malicious, but that a single individual user doesn't want to receive. From here, though, we do have the settings on the top MSP level, right? So if you wanted to define any of that branding, or if you wanted to whitelist anything across the board, you can totally do so here. And then finally, we do have the site level settings as well. So if we come in here, you're going to have a few different options. At the top, the investigation functionalities, we encourage you to turn on all of these. Fish 911 can also be enabled or disabled here. And finally, we have the executive spoofing prevention. So if you were to turn this on, basically what you're going to do, you're going to specify the first and last names of any of those executives, and then the platform will automatically try to detect if that executive is being spoofed. We can also protect against internal senders. And if we scroll down here, you're able to completely customize the banner as well, right? So you can select any of that text as well as the color scheme, and we can preview the banner at any time here as well. And since we've covered the majority of these settings, we may as well cover the rest of them. When it comes to quarantined emails, you can either send this to the deleted folder or to the junk folder. You can also receive notifications either through email or through a PSA ticketing system. And then finally, we have the monthly and daily insight reports. So just to give you an example of what that would look like, this can be completely white labeled, right? So directly within the portal, you can specify the logo, the cover image, the name, and so on. And if we scroll down here, it really is just an executive summary that would show you the number of inboxes protected, the number of emails processed, and then anything that was found across the board. And then finally, coming back into the platform, last few settings, you can white label anything here, as well as set up the organization spam filter if you wanted to upload a list of blocked spam senders. So that is a high-level demo of Graphus. Hopefully this was helpful. Thank you and take care.